How you feeling? It's a great day to be great, so let's do it. Free agency is starting to slow down. A couple names that still curious as to what's taking so long. I mean, like J.K. Dobbins, for example, to find out where he's going to play. The Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilsons of the world. And funnily enough, your Giants look like potentially the landing spot for Jameis Winston, which would be incredible for Malik Neighbors. I think everybody would be obsessed with that. But even these under the radar names like Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, Stephon Diggs, it's interesting to see such a lack of interest. I think it's potentially very telling.
I think what normally happens is that these guys get picked up after the NFL draft, because if they're not going to get their guy that they wanted in the draft, then they'll go out and get a veteran. So like, why lock in? Let's just say, let's just say the Steelers were going to draft Luther Burden, but they signed Amari Cooper, and Luther Burden was available there.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what was the point of paying Amari Cooper however much they're going to pay? At least that's my perspective. But
my perspective is none of these guys who are available are going to cost much. So
no, and that's what the later you go into, like, April, June, July, the cheaper they're going to be. So you're going to see these guys get picked up, or maybe they're just waiting on a contender team. Maybe some of these guys, Amari Cooper got a deal from the Jags, and he was like, I don't think they're going to contend.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What's up, guys? Welcome in, Mark, in the building. What's up? What's up, Albert? Lucas? Garrett's here. Styles is here. It's Gorilla says, "Was good, lads." What's up, Charlie? What's up, Tim and Bo? Styles says, "Is A-Rod planning to sign, or is he gonna keep holding all of us hostage?" He's doing his thing. He's got to go smoke some trees first and figure that out. What's up, K Money? Says, "What's up, fellas? I met Nick Scorton and Shamar Turner at the gas station on Saturday. That's sick." What's up, Dylan? In the building. We appreciate y'all being here. Hey, be a friend. Hit that like button as today's stream begins. Today's stream is completely dedicated to building Dynasty teams. Coming up with customized trades. Looking at your teams and seeing what your leagues look like. How your league settings will determine the way we build your teams. What to do with your draft capital. And, basically a customized game plan for your offseason moving forward. We've been doing these since November, and we've really enjoyed being able to review some of your teams. Now, here's what I'll say. If you're out there and you do want your team playbook, well, what is that? It's a customized game plan for your offseason, right? We'll give you customized trade targets, what to do with your draft capital, understanding your league priorities. Then just become a land annual Mother Flocker member. You'll get a voucher, or if you're on a different promo code, you can go to the Flock store, still get a team review, and if you want it done live, just make sure you choose that live tier. Links are in the chat as well as in the description. There's a pinned link in the chat, flockfantasy.com/land. That is the best way. What happens is when you become an annual member, you get a voucher, all right? And with your annual membership, you get a $79 team voucher. Okay, that makes the offline playbook $0, completely free when you go through the same checkout process as a non-member. Or it makes the live review, I think, about $10 or $7 or something like that if you want to upgrade as a member, okay? So completely up to you. Some people prefer offline because they don't want it done on a live stream for whatever various reasons. Their league might watch the stream or whatever. Some people prefer it live, right? Because they want to see us talk through their league. So you get the voucher. You also get our 2025 rookie report, which is already up on the site. V3 is out, and we are very proud of what that looks like. Oh, okay, that didn't work.
Whoa, Inception. Whoa. I see Dylan in the chat. He says, "Yo, You're more than happy to ask a question.
Okay, sorry. Let me go through my spiel real quick. Sorry. You get a rookie report when you become an annual member, right? Version 3 is already up. But you also get access to rankings, the prospect models on the site, the My Teams feature, the trade calculator, trade finder, right? All that is available to you when you become an annual member. As well as a free trade question voucher, a free start sit voucher, And of course, the Discord, you're supporting us. It's the whole 9 yards. And then if you ever buy anything from another member, let's say you wanted to get a review from Mason in the future, you get 30%. Well, actually, it's only our reviews. If you want to come back to get reviews from us, you'll get a discount off of our reviews in the future, or trade questions or whatever. It's a 30% discount. So, yes. So that link is in the pinned comment. But again, if you're out there and you want your team reviewed and you're on a different promo code, you'll see that top left button, that personal advice button, that will take you to the team review section where you can find Zach and Badaki from Fantasyland. But sorry, go ahead and answer Dylan there.
I was just gonna say, like, he can go on the Flock Fantasy website and submit a question there if you really wanted to, Dylan. Not saying you have to, but I also see that you have an Optic logo, which I'm not an Optic fan, but just wanted to know how you feel about the roster change.
Yeah, big moves in Optic. Obviously they needed it. They're dog shit right now, so they needed to make some change. Don't know if it was the right move, but they made a move. But yeah, Dylan, if you want your team done live, you can become an annual member, and then that little button at the top right, you'll get a voucher to go through that and go through Fantasyland, Zach and Badaki. And then for those people who have already submitted their teams and they're offline, if you want it done live, you just submit a $10 super chat like Timothy did, for example, to upgrade to a live, which I think we'll look at his today. But we can answer a couple questions. We'll answer these 2 questions from Russ and from Dylan, and then we're going to get to these reviews. He says, I got offered Jalen Warren, the 108 and the 205 for the 103. It's a 10-man half PPR super flex. Warren, the 108, the 205. I don't mind going the 103 here, personally. It's a 10-man league, so those premium players are going to probably mean a little bit more, unless you just have insane starting lineups. And Jalen Warren, I don't know that his value can really go that much higher than it is right now. If they draft someone, it will go lower. So I'm fine to take that pick, the 103.
Yeah, I'm okay with the 103. Tearing up there in a 10-man league, I think is pretty significant.
Yeah.
But yeah, appreciate you.
Russ had a question. What's up, boys? Got an offer in my inbox to trade Garrett Wilson for the 104. What are your thoughts? I would be pretty comfortable to
for the 104.
Yeah, wow. That really comes down to how the NFL draft pans out, honestly.
Yeah, it really does, and what you need if this is a
like, for example, if we really get if we get 4 running backs in the first 2 rounds, I'll take the 104. But if Ted McMillan is falling down boards like people are saying, and the people aren't obsessed with the class and this and that, like, there's a scenario where Garrett Wilson's very easily the answer. As a prospect, I think we prefer Garrett Wilson over any prospect at the wide receiver position in this class.
Yeah.
So I would probably hold. I don't know exactly what the right answer is on that right now.
Yeah, I think I would keep Garrett Wilson personally, because as much as I love the running, like, I think even with the historical hit rate, if somebody goes in the 2nd round, I think I would still want to keep Garrett Wilson because I still believe in the talent and the prospect. And he's linking up with his old college quarterback. I'm not saying he's going to be light years ahead of where he should be, but that's kind of where I'm at there, Russ.
You can make a case.
Yes,
big love for Kenny. It'll be interesting. What's up, Steven? Welcome in. All right, we wanted to make it really clear that when we jumped on the stream, we're trying to review people's teams here who have supported us on the Flock site financially and supporting us, keeping the lights on. So we wanted to quickly show some love to you guys, but we want to make sure we stay on track here. We got a couple trade questions to start off with on the website, people who have supported us financially over here. Shout out to Reezy. We'll start there. And I want to make sure I see the question here as well. Where is it? This is Daniel here. He says, trying to trade away Tua and any quarterbacks you target. I replied on the message system yesterday to this. And I just said, hey, like, to be honest with you, if you're trying to trade away Tua right now, the reality is it's going to be tough. Like, I don't think it's a seller's market right now for Tua tags. If anything, it might be a buyer's market. You can get them for like the 202, 203 range. And it's going to be a tough time to sell them right now. You might want to wait till end season. He replied and says, hi, my bad. I came to see if I can edit this question, but I had development for context. I'm in the first year of a startup, trying to go younger. I know this is not what I originally paid for, but can I get this trade answered? Tua, Waddle, and Ladd for Kyler and AJ Brown. So he's asking a different question now. Okay, Tua, Waddle, and Ladd for Kyler and AJ Brown. It's very easily Tua, Waddle, and Ladd for me. It's actually not really close at all. So
I agree.
Okay, we're on the same page there. All right, Reezy had a trade question here. All right, and Reezy says, not sure why it's sent as a second. I would really be giving a first, and he would be sending me a second in 27, a 27 first and 27. Okay, full trade is Cousins, Moore, Higbee, and a 27 first for Herbert and a 27 second. All right, so again, he's not sure why it showed up as a second. Yeah, so basically it's Kirk Cousins, DJ Moore, a 27 first, Tyler Higbee's irrelevant, for Justin Herbert in a second.
This is to quarterback, hey?
Yeah, super flex.
I think I would want Justin Herbert.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins, I mean, the thing is, Kirk Cousins and Higbee kind of mean nothing to me in a deal of this magnitude. Yeah. So thinking about the first in DJ Moore or a second in Justin Herbert, I do think Justin Herbert's where I lean in the super flex league. And if you're like a contender and you're saying like this, I mean, look at his lineup right now. He has Neighbors, Thomas, Higgins, Rice, Wilson, DJ. And he definitely needs the quarterback help. I'm fine with this. What I will say is I wouldn't be opposed to seeing if the following names might be cheaper. Okay? The following names being Caleb Williams, Jordan Love, Michael Penix, Bo Nix, Drake May. And once I double check that, I know they aren't cheaper. For example, I send DJ Moore in a second for those guys. Then I'm fine to take the Herbert side of this. Next question, another trade question here from Reezy. And they say, try to fix it. Okay, so they sent the same question, but we did just answer that one. And yeah, that's weird. I feel like I should write a note for this for our devs. But maybe it's because it's 2027. But yeah, answer is still the same as before. We appreciate you, Reezy, and sorry that didn't go through exactly how you wanted it to. Another trade question here from John Perry. Again, guys, you can ask a question through the site. We'll always prioritize it as well. But John Perry, what's up, man? He says, thoughts before I make this offer. It looks like they would send away the 107 Achane and Tillman. They get back Bucky, Irving, and Ladd McConkey. I think you know what I'm going to say to this one.
Bucky and Ladd. Yeah. Pretty easy there.
I am very confidently going Bucky and Ladd. I got Bucky and Achane in the same tier. Tillman's not going to move any needle for me in a deal of this magnitude. So the question is Ladd or the 107. It's very easily Ladd McConkey. So yeah,
no question.
That's a big old W for the Bucky side there. All right, I think those are all the trade questions for now. A lot of people sent in super messages to upgrade their review. Let me just refresh so we can get those trade questions out of the queue. Yeah. And the ATJ was an offline review. I've already done his. I sent him a message that his offline review will be sent in the next 72 hours. Catching up with the chat. Let's see. Rowan says, how much do I need to add to my voucher for a stream review? I think it's like $10 or $7. It's like somewhere, I think you get the discount, so it's $7, but it's either $10 or $7 when you're going through the checkout process, Rowan, with your voucher.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get to Thug Life here. Do you live the Thug Life, brother?
Is there a specific reason why you asked me that?
You know, sometimes I like to, play some music and roll down the streets when I used to live in LA, drive through Compton.
What type of music would you consider thug music?
Like, let's say Biggie, Tupac. I know you're trying to turn this racial, but I'm not going to let you do it.
Specifically black artists, is that what you're saying?
You guys will notice a trend. Anytime Benaki has a chance to pull the race card, he's pulling it out. It's no ending, and he's trying to put you in a box. And I just, quite frankly, don't care anymore at this point of our relationship. Okay, it's an 8-team league, but it says 12 teams.
Yeah, wow.
So I'm assuming there's quite a few teams that are...
There's no context either.
Yeah, there's quite a few teams that are orphaned in this league, because if you look at the waiver wire, you've got names like Lamar, Chase, Hurts, Lamb, Mahomes, Love, Murray, Gibbs, Brees, Jacobs, Neighbors, Collins, Moore, Ayuk, Bowers. So this is clearly a league that that has 4 teams that are currently orphaned. And what I want to do is I want to take this ID and tell our developers again about this. Have another team with the same problem. Here is the ID. Sorry, guys. Okay, so let's just keep that in mind as we're reviewing this team. Okay, it's a 12-team start 10. So that's the middle ground starting lineup.
Yeah. Sorry, this is confusing.
What's confusing about it?
I guess we're missing like 4 significant teams. So
yeah,
I feel like we're gonna try to do our best here, but
what we can do is we can have KTC open as well, because KTC has the open teams on their rosters, so it'll actually be pretty easy. So
that actually is so true. I wonder if our developers can do that. Can get something like that. Like if a team is not linked or no one is an owner, surely we can have just blank team 1, team 2, whatever.
Yeah. Well,
Anyways.
that's good. Yeah. So Don't worry, guys. If you have orphans, we have a way around it, right? KTC has these orphan teams available, and they'll do a dispersal draft, I think is what they're saying. And anyway, don't worry. Okay. His team name is mjsthugs. It's a middle ground starting lineup, start 10. There's a tight end premium. And do you want to read his team out? He's currently 5th without the other guys
currently
involved.
5th right now. All right, so let's have a look. This is the middle ground. Median can start up to 5 wide receivers or 5 running backs. So JJ McCarthy, Trevor Lawrence, Will Levis, the list goes on. Not the strongest room, but at least you have 2 starting quarterbacks going into the 2025 season. I mean, hey, if Aaron Rodgers goes to the Minnesota Vikings, you ain't going to have another quarterback, to be honest. After running back position, Devon Achane, Chuba Hubbard, Travis Etienne, Ramondre Stevenson, the list goes on. We got 2 good starting running backs that we believe in Achane and Hubbard, so that's fine right there. At the wide receiver position, you can start up to 5 wide receivers. T, Rasheed, Ricky, Godwin, Reed, and the list goes on as well with Jake Ferguson and Cole Kmet, Hunter Henry. But you do have 2 first-round picks in 2025, 105, 108, and you do have your 26 first, which is pretty significant as well.
My quick little 2 cents on the JJ McCarthy situation. Everything I've heard from any beat reporter in Minnesota or connected to the organization is Aaron Rodgers wants this. Minnesota doesn't care. That's what I've heard from every person connected to the franchise. I just don't think they would have let Sam Darnold go on such an affordable deal to take that risk. Unless they wanted to go with the cheap contract of JJ. But I could be wrong, and of course it's possible that anything can happen still. So I just wanted to throw that in there as well, so he doesn't just think, oh, they think for sure JJ's gonna, I want to throw both sides at him there.
Sure.
The starting lineup right now would be McCarthy, Lawrence, Achane, Hubbard, Higgins, Rice, Ferguson, Pearsall, Godwin, Reed. It's not a terrible starting lineup, but I certainly don't anticipate this team being at the top, contending right now. And that's just where I currently would say I see this team. It's a very middle of the pack team. You got a good amount of draft capital, which is helpful. But overall team grade, including the draft capital, I kind of lean like a B-.
Yeah.
B- range, maybe C+, somewhere in there. The draft capital is decent. You got a second in 26, an extra one. All your future picks. You have 2 firsts this year. I would say, that draft capital is like a B+ range. It's definitely going to make an impact. You don't know what Rashee Rice is going to give you this year, right? In the sense of the suspension and the injury. We don't know exactly when he will be available. And Badaki's right in the sense of we don't know 100% yet that JJ will start for this team, even though I lean that way. So this is an interesting roster. This is a very interesting roster. Trying to think of the direction moving forward.
I think personally, this is in. I feel like it could be an in or out or a sleeper.
Yeah.
Right, because one injury away. I mean, look, he has Travis Etienne, Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah.
Depending on how you feel, you kind of hope that these guys bounce back. But hypothetically, Chuba Hubbard goes down and Travis Etienne, Ramondre Stevenson aren't those guys. You don't have a running back.
I like in or out, actually, because I think it will depend on the rest of the offseason as well as in season. Like if McCarthy starts and Rice is healthy and the suspension's only like 2 games, and these draft picks that you make have a big impact. You take a Judkins, you take an Ibuka or something, and they have a big impact on your roster. You definitely could be in the playoffs potentially, and anything can happen from there. However, if you start the season and let's say Aaron Rodgers does go to Minnesota, Rice is suspended, not healthy, Godwin's coming back from the injury, and your rookies are coming off the block slow, you could look at selling names like Chuba Hubbard, T. Higgins, Chris Godwin, Etienne, Stevenson. You can look to sell these names in season, and I think outside of Etienne and Stevenson, there's not much risk that these other guys are going to lose a bunch of value or anything when we get in season. So I do think in and out is. I think you're spot on there. That's a good pathway for this team.
Yeah, I agree. Untouchables, which.
There really isn't. Yeah, there's no
untouchables. What we can do is put your future first, to just in case.
Yeah, for the flexibility.
For the flexibility of the pathway, if it does go sideways and not in the way you want it to go, then keep your future first.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. As far as holds, I think Pearsall is going to fit your in or out no matter where you go. He'll fit that timeline, and McCarthy as well. Those are your strong holds on this team. And as far as drops, I mean, you could drop a lot of guys. Ray McLeod, Bub Memes. You can drop Elijah Moore, Jalen Hyatt if you want to make space. You could drop a lot of these running backs, Mason Rudolph, Trey Lance. However much space you need to clear, I'm just going to keep adding names that you could drop if you need to make space, like Chigakonkwo. Cam Akers is droppable now for sure. Trey Tucker. Again, if you need to make space, you can drop as many of these players. There'll only be 4 on the graphic. And then the waiver wire isn't going to be helpful because, it's useless right now. So yeah, shall we go to the chalkboard here?
Yeah.
All right. So
chalkboard with 2 first rounders and a.
He's got a significant amount of capital here that can make a difference for him, which is good to see. If you stick and pick here, kind of 105 range, then you're in a spot where you can definitely add an impact player. You're kind of right there in like the Judkins, Henderson, Burden range. I think you'll probably end up with one of these 4 players if the draft goes the way we think it could. And, I should add Cam Ward as well, because, again, I keep saying if he actually goes 101, I've said this from the beginning of the season, even though I don't necessarily love this quarterback class, including Cam Ward, I can recognize if he goes first overall, we have to trust the NFL more than myself, right? And then at the 108, you have a chance to grab a Burden, an Ibuka, one of these running backs, Henderson, Judkins, Sanders in a superflex format. And, you're in a position where you really can go any direction here. I wouldn't rule out the tight ends in a tight end premium, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm about to say. Tight ends is pretty big there.
In fact, in this format, maybe you prioritize a Warren and Loveland over some of the other guys with the premium considered. So Loveland, Warren, another great options here. At the 205, you can consider Whoever falls. Colden's probably not going to fall this far anymore, but Giddens, Scadaboo, Tootin, Trey Harris, those Iowa State receivers, Arroyo could definitely make sense. And then beyond that, it's true BPA, which, if you are a annual member, you will get our rookie report, and that will be updated, our rookie report with our, you'll know exactly what the true BPA is in every single draft you're in, right? So not a bad plan whatsoever. I really don't think that this team is in a position to tear down from the picks. Neither do I believe that this team is in a position to trade for veterans.
I agree, especially with the package that we gave you within or out.
That's a little more
really
straightforward, I think, the draft capital. I think you stick and pick with this.
Yeah, you stick and pick with this type of draft capital. I mean, what we can do is give him players that he can sell in season if it does go sideways. If JJ McCarthy is not the starter, if Rashee Rice is suspended for the long haul, do we sell the likes of the names of like Chris Godwin's, or do we try and sell the Travis Etienne's for whatever we can get?
Let's call this Doomsday in season.
Prep.
Doomsday prep. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so, and this is like in the event that you need to punt in season, trade these names, right? And we'll give like what kind of capital we want. So you said Godwin, which honestly you could trade now if you like, if you netted like the 201 and the 204 type of deal. I think it'd be hard to say no to that right now given the situation.
Did his value rise with that contract?
I mean, for me, I definitely moved him up my rankings. I can't speak for everyone, but
was it I'm gonna check.
3 years, 3-year deal, and his game will age well. But you have to ask the question about the ankle. Like, is he going to be the same player?
Yeah, March 10th, which was 9 days ago. Wide receiver 41 today. Wide receiver 36.
Yeah,
He's gone up a little bit.
Where do I have him? I have him 32 in Dynasty right now, without the rookies included. I could have just checked our website because all the team reviews are with my rankings anyway. Okay, so yeah, Godwin comes to mind. We talked about the Hubbards, the Etiennes, right? I would personally say, and I know not everybody agrees with me, but Stevenson is someone that I would put in a different category, which is sell now if you can. He kind of goes in that category for me. How you feel about the Travis Etienne? Because I feel like he might be in that category for me as well. Well, you already have him on the list, right? Yeah, he's like, I can really see, maybe it's my bias towards Travis as a prospect coming out, but I can really see his career being revived by Liam Cohen. I really could see that happen. But I could also see them draft someone and, so.
Action Genty to the Jags with the 5th overall pick.
I don't see that happening, but it's just, it's a tough one. So I think Kirk is another name we can put in there. Even Higgins, I think, could fit this as well. He's probably your cash cow in this scenario.
Yeah, he probably is. So,
and I don't think his value is going to be really that different in season, because he's coming off a season where he's 15. He was a 4th in points per game, 5th in points per game amongst wide receivers. So you're going to be able to sell him pretty easily with that contract in season if things go south for you. So if we sell T. Higgins in season, right now we're valuing him like 104 range, 104, 105 in this class. So if you sell him in season, ideally you'd like 2 future firsts after that contract. But there are scenarios where you get 1 future first plus a young development player, like a Trey Benson would have come to mind, a Josh Downs, a Jalen McMillan, like that level of player if you can't net the 2 firsts. But you want to make sure this isn't like a late first. So I would think we should make that like early to mid, because if you do that trade for a late first, you're going to regret it for sure. So yeah, let's just say young player, and so that doesn't go too long. Chris Godwin in season, if you get any first in any year, this year you certainly could have before the injury, then you take that in season. The alternative is multiple seconds, ideally early, you know. And again, this is in season where you're like, okay, I do need to tear it down. Chuba Hubbard in season, ideally you want to do the same thing, any first, any year. ETN in season, we really can't say what his price will be, but I'd probably say in an ideal world, if he retains his role, like multiple seconds, but you might only get 1 second, so you need to be prepared for that. I'll just say like worst case scenario, any second, any year, and again, this is worst case scenario, right? And if Thug Life is with us in the chat, by the way, at any moment you can chime in. Christian Kirk has a chance to really be a sell high in season, right? The 1-year deal with the Texans, clear need of a number 2. If you can get any second in any year or multiple thirds, and again, that is also worst case scenario in season to a contender that has some injuries. Now with Ramondre Stevenson, I am looking to sell him now. And if I get any offer that's like the 203 to the 208, I'm probably smash accepting it. And maybe we can find a team that is contending that needs a running back.
Yeah, a running back. Yeah, I get that.
So let's sort by running back strength. For example, Jay Waz and Will. They have the 203 and the 210. So obviously, like we said, if you can get the 203, great. If you can get the 210 and that 303, I'm not opposed to that either. So that definitely works. That's in range. Will is 202, 207. I don't think you're going to net the 202, but it doesn't mean you can't. Look, that kind of feels like you're reaching there. I mean, do we have, we can add like the 311 or something to this?
Yeah, we can add something, but
to these deals, but probably not going to be attractive to your owner. The 207, I think this guy has. That would be great. That would be ideal. He also has the 209, so you can try the 209 plus, let's say, the 307, and then we send you back the 311, for example. We do a slight move up. So I would be comfortable to sell him pretty much straight away. As far as your quarterbacks, I don't feel a need to sell either of them right now. Achane could easily finish running back 1 this year if he and Tua stay healthy.
That's probably the best that you can squeeze out from this team.
And I think, again, like based off of what happens in season, you make these moves. Again, if things don't go your way. The thing is, all these names here, outside of ETN, I really don't see them drastically losing value. T. Higgins has a long-term contract. Chris Godwin has a long-term contract. Hubbard has a long-term contract. Kirk is probably going to produce. ETN is the only one that I would say there's a risk-reward element to it. But I'm a big fan of this type of in or out pathway moving forward. Staying flexible. I know it's March and everyone feels like they have to make a trade every week. Sometimes a team in your position, it might only get worse if you do that type of pathway. So
but appreciate you, Thug Life. Thank you so much for the support. You will be receiving your customized playbook within 72 hours on the Flock Fantasy Message System with all the information we drew up here for you today. Obviously, untouchables, holds, drops, positional priorities, so on and so forth. But thank you so much for the support, man. Good team. Well, decent team. I'm not gonna say it's a good team. I think there's an opportunity.
Absolutely. I think you're in a decent position. All right, Jose is here. He did upgrade as well. Hey, Jose. Shout out to Jose. Appreciate you, my friend.
Is it Jose or Jose?
Jose Cuervo.
Jose Cuervo. Hey, that should go hard, though.
That stuff's dangerous. All right, so Jose Cuervo. It's the same format, by the way. Superflex start 10. So this is another middle ground. Before we get into that, I did notice, I'm going to butcher this name. Rogelio? Rogelio, maybe? Am I saying that right?
Where are you seeing this?
He says, "How do I get my team review? Definitely need some help." So yeah, when you guys get the live review, you also get the playbook. Team playbook is a customized game plan for your offseason, right? We think through trade ideas for you, what to do with your draft capital, understanding your league settings. You can become a land annual Mother Flocker member on the Flock site. That'll get you a voucher. Or you can go to the Flock store, regardless what promo code you're on, and get a team review there. Just make sure you choose a live tier if you want it done live. When you become an annual member, you will get the voucher, all right, which is worth $79. It'll take the team playbook down to 0, the offline one. And then if you want it done live, you just got to chip in, I think, like $7 or $10. But yeah, of course, when you become an annual member, you get all the other perks with your membership: the Discord, rookie report, trade question voucher, start sit voucher, all of our rankings, databases, draft guides, tools. So that is the benefit of becoming an annual member. But the other way is by just going to the Flock store, which is in that top right. You see my little cursor here. I'll bring that over to the top right. There's a button that says personalized advice. It says at the bottom too. When you click that, it'll say team review, and you can purchase one a la carte there if you prefer not to become a member. Completely up to you. And it's the same process for people who become a member. You just have the voucher that takes up that $79 off, right? So
yeah, but appreciate you, Jose. Thank you so much for supporting. And it's a 2 quarterback, 12 team start 10. So this is middle ground. You can start it to 5 wide receivers or 5 running backs. But let's read this context here. So I just finished a startup, and I have made a few trades. Rookie picks were included in the startups, but I did not get any.
Okay.
It seems like the picks were being valued over active players more than they should have been. Are there moves I can make to compete this year? Running back is definitely weak. Okay, so you currently rank 3rd.
It's sorry, I just wanted to quickly say, in startups, it typically is one way or the other because of the trends of your league and how they draft. It typically is either picks are way undervalued in a startup or they're way overvalued, and I think maybe that was the case with his team. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
full point premium on the tight end, by the way, here.
Yeah, so that's going to be pretty significant. All right, at the you're once again ranked 3rd out of 12 according to Zach's rankings. At the quarterback position, Jordan Love, Kyler Murray, Malik Willis. Good quarterback room. You don't really have to worry about it. Obviously, QB3 is not the strongest, but that is okay. At the running back position, like you did mention, it is weak with only Breece Hall and then no other run RB2 to start. There is pathways that we can talk up for Trey Benson, Jalen Wright, hell, even Blake Corum. But at the moment, it does look like there's no RB2 to start going into week 1, unfortunately. At the wide receiver position, you can start to 5 wide receivers: CeeDee Lamb, T. Higgins, Brandon Ayuk, Jalen Waddle, Blick Ricky with Josh Downs in the wings, and really nobody else. In a full point tight end premium, you do have Sam Laporta, TJ Hawkinson, which is already a huge smash. You're probably going to be starting them in the flex. But you don't have any 2025 picks, obviously, because rookies were included in this startup.
Okay. You know, to have Hawkinson and Laporta in a full point premium is nice. It is important to say that he has 2 firsts and 26. And Cowboy Killer
ranked 8th.
They have really no picks to improve their team. They're going to be going into the season rocking with Hurts, Prescott, Taylor, Jacobs, Hubbard, Smith, Wilson, Olave, Andrews, Gesicki. I mean, if I had that team with no draft picks, I would feel like everybody just has to stay healthy. I think that could, if things go a certain way, could be a valuable pick, which is nice. His starting lineup right now would be Love, Murray, Breece. I don't know who else. Then CD, Higgins, Laporta, Ayuk, Waddle, Pearsall, and then you also could flex Hawkinson if you wanted to over one of those names. So definitely it feels very middle of the pack.
I'm gonna look at this team one and why he is
the difficult part is the only really wiggle room you have here is to sell either Laporta or Lamb to really make a difference with this team.
Yeah, and I feel like these 2 people I don't want to sell in a full point premium. I mean, look, maybe you can sell TJ or Sam Laporta,
TJ's
and then
a buy right now, in my opinion, though.
what's where's he at in the community? Because you have him tied in 6.
I just did a video and he's like 201 range, 202.
Tied in 5. It's even in its full point premium.
In a full point premium, he'll be worth more, but
surely you can get more.
Yeah.
In a full point. I mean, let's just see if there's anyone that needs a tight end.
Yeah, not a bad plan here.
My City Dynasty team. I mean, he
has
some starting people.
They have Kyron.
Yeah,
and he could probably afford to have like Pollard Warren if you wanted to do. Well, let's before we get into all these ideas, I think we just need to talk about the state of this team real quick. Overall team grade, I'd probably say like the wide receiver room is definitely a strength in the tight end room. B minus. No draft capital.
Yeah.
The draft capital is going to be a C minus, I'd say. Pathway is tough on this one. I
feel like the pathway could be.
The thing is, they just finished a startup. So a team like this, I think, makes the playoffs. And as long as you figure out RB2. And if this team makes the playoffs, anything can happen with the tight end premium on certain weeks.
I would say this is a sleeper team.
Yeah.
I don't think it's. Yeah, like it could be a contender, but the sleeper in the definition is like, right, a couple moves and you're in the mix. So if we can make these couple moves to get you in the mix, sure, but yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a 1-year punt either. Like, yeah, it can't be a 1-year punt.
Well, if you end up going into the season and things don't go well, you could turn it to a punt if you wanted to. But I agree with you that I think you can compete with this team this year. I do think Hawkinson is the piece we need to move. But the untouchables on this team would be CeeDee Lamb. I don't really think there's another one. The holds on this team, I think Ricky Pearsall is someone I've been wanting to hold. I would rather hold Hawkinson and sell Laporta. I personally believe Hawkinson is way undervalued right now.
Okay.
I also think Benson's a very good hold for this team. And Jalen Wright. Both of these guys could really improve their roles here in 2025. As far as drops, I don't think there really is drops on this team. I can give you more holds. I just don't think.
Let's look at waiver wire.
Taysom Hill or Theo Johnson you could drop, but
maybe
for who? There's no draft capital here. It doesn't make sense to drop for any of these names, right? So let's add more holds to this one. And that would be probably Hollywood Brown and Kayshon Boutte.
Okay.
Yeah. There's no point in dropping when nothing on the waiver wire is interesting and you don't have any draft capital, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, I do think I prefer not to sell CeeDee Lamb. And in order to make this roster work, I think Laporta is the piece we sell. In a full point premium, I do think Laporta, let's go to the chalkboard here. I think he's the piece we would like to move here. So let's find a suitor, shall we? And there should be plenty in a full point premium. And the first name that we talked about, my City Dynasty team, they have Kyron Williams. I feel like in a full point premium, you might be able to net slightly more in like a 2 for 2. I'm saying like we add like either a Pollard, Warren, Reed, and then something on our side to make this work. So let's explore those 3 ideas. So let's start with like Tony Pollard. We'll find out what we'll do a plus there for. We talked about Jaden Reed, and then what was the other name I mentioned? Jaylen Warren.
Yeah, Warren.
So in the Laporta situation where we get Pollard, we can send back like Braylon Allen, for example, to kind of give ourselves a little bit more of a runway here with this team in 2025. Look, if you're a big Allen guy, you can try Lloyd. You could try Keyshawn Boutte or AJ Barner if there's a big believer in your league, but I'm not someone who's really bullish on Braylon Allen. Jaden Reed, I think you'll need to pay a little bit more, so we probably would need to send look, you could try Braylon first, and depending on how big the premium is, you might, if it's not going to make as big of an impact, would you say maybe we have to send Rashid Shaheed here? I think we might have to go there, or that's probably a Blake Corum. I'd prefer to hold Blake Corum, but he could get the job done. I wouldn't send Jalen Wright in this deal though. All right, so
I think I would do the same. I just want to say I would do the same for Shakira.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% there with you as well. That's a good point. Shakira's.
I would think I would prefer Shakira.
Okay. Yeah. And I think Jaylen Warren to me is more just straight up. I think the most I would offer is Keyshawn Boutte or something. I don't think I would pay a bunch to get Jaylen Warren on top of this.
Yeah.
Again, that solves a lot of problems for you if you can do those type of deals there. And that team is kind of perfect. Okay, the other team that is competing would be A Stark. They unfortunately really don't have a medium ground here, but you could try and shoot high for Bucky Irving in a full point, right? So we go Laporta, we want Bucky Irving, and we'll send you Laporta. And I think we'd have to be a little more aggressive. You think Laporta, and I don't want to get rid of Downs, but I almost feel like you have to use him as the piece.
I think I'll be okay with that personally.
Yeah.
Because that instantly puts you in contender. You're probably not going to be starting Josh Downs if all these players pan out the right way. Ayuk is back on the field, Waddle's there, Ricky's there.
You could also try Braylon Allen and Rashid Shaheed instead first, and then settle for Downs sending him. But yeah, Bucky is really the only answer to that team. But that's okay. We still have plenty of options available to us. I want to look at Team 11 quickly. Kincaid, Sinnott, no running back. Yeah, that's not going to work. Let's see. We've also got Jack Steele, who has Kraft, but yeah, the running backs don't really match.
It still says he has the 109, which is interesting.
The guy who has Ken Walker and Chase Brown, he's got a ton of running backs. He has no tight end. This is Team 8, Scooby. I think Walker's definitely doable. I think you could maybe get a plus. Walker. The plus is tough here with the type of team he has. But he has the ability to move these players.
Can that plus... Would you take a shot on Najee for the 1 year? Well, probably not.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. But the most I'd send back is Braylon Allen in a deal that.
Yeah, it would have to be someone not as valuable. You're not going to send Laporta and Downs or something,
Yeah, exactly. So Laporta, but Walker, you could also try and go DJ Moore and send back Josh Downs. No, that's not going to happen. No, you're just so limited with your draft capital. It's definitely more difficult to come up with ideas with this draft capital.
Yeah, this guy also has DK and George Pickens. Do you take a chance with one of the Steelers wide receivers?
Yeah, I guess you could try and make Pickens a throw in here. I haven't really had any interest in buying him, but maybe because because of the current state, Shaheed, you could try that route. And again, this all depends on how important the premium is to the people that you're sending these trades to. The guy who has Kamara, Mix, and Connor, we're not sending Laporta in a premium to entertain that.
No.
I think, yeah, that is the majority of the options available to you. All these other teams, I think, are probably chilling at tight end. But I think that's the main move to really put you in a position. I mean, let's say, for example, you... what do you think is the most realistic deal here that we've given? Maybe like the Reed?
Yeah, I was going to say Shakira Reed. I actually think the Kenneth Walker Najee one is pretty realistic.
Okay, yeah. So let's say you did that alone, right? You lose Braylon Allen, you lose Laporta, but you add Walker and Najee. Then you're in a position where your starting lineup is Love, Murray, Brees, Walker, Lamb, Higgins, Hawkinson, and then you need to start 3 more players, which would be Ayuk, Waddle, Pearsall. You can throw Najee in there. You can throw Downs in there. Maybe Benson gets a bigger role. I think that is really the move for you.
Yeah, because you get depth there as well, right? Like
Yeah.
with Najee and Kenneth Walker, if one of those guys goes down, at least you have another one. So
Totally. But you have the depth to even do like a Bucky Irving deal here if it's possible, where, you know, Trey becomes your 3. And between Trey, Wright, Corum, Allen, Lloyd, you have the all underperforming 2024 team. Does one of them get a new role? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you have the ability to do that if you wanted. I like the Pollard idea as well, to grab him for depth. And, you know, you really like the Shakir deal, so we'll say the Shakir deal as well. Look, I'll be honest, teams who have just finished a startup, it's tough to trade. Like, there has to be action. There's got to be moves. That's why we've given you so many ideas to really get the league flowing. But it is also more difficult that you have no picks this year. That really hurts your flexibility. So we did our absolute best to try and get you in the right direction there, my friend. Hopefully that was helpful. I appreciate you being a part of the stream and supporting. And is there anything that I missed here, Badaki?
No, obviously you'll be receiving your playbook within 72 hours on the Flock Fantasy message system with everything that we've written up here for you today. Thank you so much for all the support, and stay tuned for your playbook.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you, my friend. Big Bishop we're going to do on a different night. So let's go to Jubie here. And I've messaged Jubie as well. Keep saying failed, so let me just refresh and make sure that these messages are being sent out to these people.
Big old Jubie, huh?
Let's see. Okay, yeah, I think these messages are being sent out. Okay, let's go Jubie here.
All right, Jubie.
All right, Jubie's next.
Jubas, appreciate you. And once again, thank you for your support. And let's read this. Well, actually, it's one quarterback.
Just want to quickly address Iscarilla there in the chat. We wouldn't be able to do a live this like today. But what I can tell you is we're being very intentional about constantly doing these reviews this week. We'll be doing reviews tomorrow night, and then the night after that, we'll have another stream completely dedicated to team reviews. So I can promise you that if you get the live one, it's done this week, 100%. But I just couldn't promise you tonight because we have to be fair to everybody in the queue, right? So, yeah. But sorry, go ahead and let's look at Jubie here.
Yeah, one quarterback, 12-team start, 9. So this is middle ground for the one quarterback. Same format as the last 2 ones, but in a one quarterback, you can start to 5 wide receivers or 5 running backs. Hi, Zach and Badaki. I'm unsure if I should trade down from the 101. I was thinking a trade would fill Bill's 101 plus Tracy plus something for the 105, 108 London. All right, we'll have a look at that as Zach probably puts out on the chalkboard. He says, I would appreciate a few tips. BR from Germany. Hey, appreciate you from Deutschland, huh? Deutschland. But you're currently ranked 6th out of 12.
Come on.
And let's have a look at this team here.
I'd love to go to Germany one day, by the way. Looks sick.
You like Germany?
It looks awesome, honestly. I mean,
I know.
the only issue for me traveling is just like dietary restrictions. I never know where I can actually go. That's the only concern. But Germany looks
You
sick.
just gotta live on the edge, man. You got one life. You might as well.
Yeah,
You might as well just eat whatever you want.
I want that life to be long enough if I have kids to raise them.
You'll be alright. It's not if you have kids. When you have kids, change your language.
I'm gonna keep saying if I have kids, and keep realistic expectations here. All right, I'm gonna add this trade to the. I heard that. And you go ahead and read his team out for us.
Drake May, Caleb Williams, Aaron Rodgers, great quarterback room. You don't really have to do anything there. At the running back position, Tyrone Tracy. Tyrone Tracy, Trey Benson, Blake Corum. Not much running back positions there or players. Obviously Tyrone Tracy, but he could potentially lose his job depending on if they want to draft another running back. But anything could happen. At the wide receiver position, you're starting 5 hypothetically. BTJ, DJ Moore, Ricky Pearsall, and the list is non-existent. So you really only have 3 starting wide receivers with Mike Gesicki as your tight end. But the good news is you have 1, 2, 3 first-round picks in 2025. You have the 201, which is also pretty significant, and you do have your 26th first.
And most important of all, the 101 as well, which has a lot of power no matter how you use it.
100%. So this is an interesting team. Obviously, the state of this team is probably not where you want it to be, but it's good foundational pieces at the quarterback position, at the wide receiver position, in the draft capital.
Let's think about the starting lineup right now. It would be one of May Williams, right? Then Tracy, maybe Benson. It's tough there. Brian, DJ, Gesicki. Then you still need to start 3 names, which would be Pearsall, and then we have no idea, right? So your flex is very weak. You're really relying on this year's draft to give you like some startable names for this team. I would say overall team grade, the draft capital is great. It's going to help when I grade this team. The 101, just adding Genty there is huge for your grade. But I would lean, I feel B- still.
Overall team grade?
Yeah. Draft capital grade, you can put more at like an A flat. It's very good having the 101 and multiple first and the 201 and all that. There's no premium in this league for tight ends. This team, it really feels closer to a sleeper than a 1-year punt. But depending on what happens in season, it's kind of almost an in or out again. But I kind of want to give more of a clear direction with this one. I feel like sleeper, let's say you add Ashton Genty to this team, then it's May, Genty, Tracy, Thomas, DJ, Gesicki, Pearsall. And I guess you're still a couple flexes short. This may be 1-year punt actually.
This is a 1-year punt, I think.
Yeah.
Because I think there's still a lot of question marks. Like I kind of said, like what if Tracy loses his job? You get Ashton, that's great. At the 109, maybe you get Mbuka. You're still short there. At the 112, you can get another wide receiver, maybe Matthew Golden, Trey Harris. I don't know.
Yeah. It's a punt, but it's in a very good place. For a 1-year punt, you're in a very good spot, I would say. Untouchables, Brian Thomas, and technically the 101, but we are going to explore the idea of trading it based off the offers that you sent. So maybe we can say Brian Thomas in their future picks.
Yeah, I agree.
As far as holds, Ricky Pearsall definitely comes to mind. Trey Benson comes to mind. No one else I'm like desperate to make sure I keep. Drops, you got plenty of options here with the John Mechie's. If you wanted to drop a Rashawn Johnson, you could. Isaiah Davis, you could hold. You could definitely drop Aaron Rodgers in a 1-quarterback league. You can drop Calvin, Gabe for sure, if you wanted to clear space for upcoming players. I would definitely want to roster a couple names here. Elijah Mitchell. And you can just take a mental note when you're watching this, Jubie. Elijah Mitchell, Kayshon Boutte, De'Ami Brown, Michael Mayer, Those are all names that if you can find space for, I would rather roster than the Mechis, Austins, Davises, Rogers, Rashawn's.
Miles Sanders is there as well, I think, isn't you
Oh,
can just
is
pick
he?
up. Yeah, I see Miles Sanders.
Okay, yeah, that's another great
Jordan
pickup.
Jordan Whittington.
And not even that we
as
believe in
well.
those guys long term. It's just there's probably a chance to sell them in season.
Yeah.
Okay. We've done all admin, right?
All admin.
All right, let's go to the chalkboard then. You had a couple questions. You wanted to explore the idea of the London 105, 108, as well as the 102 and Hawk. I don't like the second deal very much in a non-Titan premium. This deal seems, I'll be honest, unrealistic. The first offer you mentioned, where and we're like the first person to tell you send an offer. You never know what can happen, and it's not going to get accepted if you don't try. But this feels like asking too much. I would say London and the 101 aren't worlds apart in value. I think everyone prefers the 101. But even if you're doing a Dynasty startup, Genty goes at the 203 to the 206. London goes at the 210 to the 212. There's not that big of a gap in value in most people's startups. So to try and get the additional 2 firsts, I know Tracy's in there. It feels somewhat unrealistic, but maybe if you add DJ Moore.
That's what I was gonna say. I think maybe if you had DJ Moore, you could potentially get it done. I think I would agree in the sense, I think if you send that trade, just see what happens. I don't think you lose that trade personally. You up tier at the running back, at the wide receiver position, and you still have the opportunity to get a Travion Henderson, a Quinshawn Junkins at the 105, a Caleb Johnson, and at the 108, you could still get another guy like one of those guys I just mentioned. So I think it just depends on how you feel about that. I know you kind of talked about the second trade. I'm actually more interested in the second trade.
Really? In a 1-year punt, you want to go from Genty to Hawkinson and someone else?
In a 1-year punt, I think if Omarion Hampton goes in the first round, I'm happy to trade back and tier up in the tight end position.
Okay, let's talk about that in a second then. We might see that differently, but that's not the first time on our channel. We always disagree on things, and it's good to get different perspectives, right? Let's say we took away DJ Moore from this deal. If it was just 101 and Tracy, I think you're probably going to have to take away that 105. And maybe we can try and keep that 105 in there and add a less significant name. Yeah, the issue is your depth is just shot to hell, so respectfully. But what if we did like the 105 and the 108, and then we went back and tried to send the, what do you think, the 201 here? Yeah, I don't think that's gonna work. I'm trying to make it simpler, but I'm making it more complex. Okay, let's just say 101 and Tracy. I think London in the 108 is probably the most you're going to get.
What's the other pick he has?
He has the 109, 112, 201. I just don't imagine you getting more than the 108 in London. Because a lot of people are like equivalent London at the 101. So there's 2 iterations that you could try with that team.
Yeah.
Okay. So you want to explore this deal. I'll just say personally, I do think Hawk is a very good buy. I think in a non-Titan premium, for me, it's the last position I want to think about in a punt. I could care less. I could buy next year's versions of Evan Ingram for a late second round pick or something. I would not be willing to move off of the 101, which I think has so much more power than this sort of format. But I'm gonna leave it up to you because I wouldn't explore it.
And I get that perspective. I think if you're telling me 2 running backs going, if it's Ashton Genty goes in the first, Omarion Hampton goes in the first, I don't necessarily feel like I'm losing significant value just based off of, if we're just going based off the historical hit rate, right? So if we're thinking about that, and if I can upgrade at the tight end position, I'm okay with it. Now, I think it is a big difference if Amarion goes in the second round and Ashton Genty is, still a first round pick, that's a little bit different. And in the scenario that Zach is talking about being like being a 1-year punt, I can see Ashton Genty still holding a higher value in return later in the future if you wanted to sell him.
I think it's it also comes down just to how I evaluate the class, I guess. Genty's the only elite tag I have, right, in my scale of prospect grades, whereas last year I think I had 4. So I think Hampton goes round 1, but I don't know. I still struggle with like Hawk being the reason I move off of that. If I move off the 101, I need in a punt to make it the most powerful haul. And I just don't see this doing that. But again, take us through what you would do here. I might not see it the same.
Well, this is what that is just based off of the capital or off the landing spot. I think if they're both going the first round, I'm happy to just do the 102 for TJ Hawkinson personally.
Okay.
I went to the TJ Hawkinson team, which is bad. I don't even know how to say the second part. And there's no one else that they can add. Right, like you can't add a Mike Evans, or you could probably add Jordan Addison if you wanted to get some more depth. But other than that, I'm okay not to explore it if Amarion is not in the first round.
Sure, yeah, I'll put that in the chalkboard for him so he has that. Okay, well, with this team, where are we again? Steel Curtain, right? Yeah, I think. I think, like, for example, like Tyrone Tracy in a punt, we could probably try and sell now to try and avoid catastrophe. Could go either way. And I think DJ Moore. Those are 2 names that we could probably sell right now and be comfortable with building around some younger players. So DJ Moore, we can talk about. I don't think DJ's a pressing sell. I think Tyrone Tracy, the draft could definitely go away where it really hurts your team. But of course, there's a risk reward there, right? But, obviously if you can get any first in any year, it's a no-brainer. Most leagues aren't going to do that, though. So you'd have to ask the question, well, I have the 201. Can you get the 202, right? Can you get the 203? Like that's the kind of range. I don't think I would sell him for cheaper than that. And then I wouldn't even mind. Yeah. And then as far as DJ Moore goes, I think it's more like we want to get like the 107 to the 108.
Yeah, I think his value could rise this season, especially if Keenan Allen's not there and they continue to invest in offensive line and new offensive coordinator. Like if the rest of your team doesn't go your way, I do believe his value could rise potentially. Can he be at the 105? Next year.
See, you know what? You're totally right there. The other thing is, what if you miss out on Igbuka and he has like a Lab McConkey type season? So for the punt, you have to ask the question whether you think the pick is worth it or keeping the player. But I definitely agree both with you and Chasing Breakers that he totally could increase value.
I think it just all depends on I think it all depends on landing spot. When I think you can make that evaluation if Igbuka goes to a spot that you can envision that happening.
Yeah.
Too. So like this DJ Moore trade doesn't actually have to happen before your draft. It can actually happen during, or even after, right? Like I think maybe somebody might see Emeka as the same value as DJ Moore, at that time.
Okay, so I just wanted to look quickly at DJ Moore. He's like a tier 9 guy on KTC. There's not a lot of guys I really want to tier down to. So I think he's either a hold in season or trading for that pick.
Yeah.
I don't think there's much flexibility outside of that. And either way, I think it's fine with your team. Like DJ's not going to be 30 years old next year where you're punting and you're like, what the hell? All right, if you stick and pick, let's look at your draft capital here. If you stick and pick, obviously Genty's going to be your 101, which would be a great pick for this team. You desperately need a true number 1 running back. At the 109, you're kind of in this position where kind kind of left with the leftovers, if you will, from the top names. Like whoever's left from Ward, Sanders, Johnson, Egbuka, Loveland, Warren. I think that's kind of the range you're in. Down to the 112 where Caleb could still be there depending on how things pan out. And you can add like Travis Hunter, a different running back that we don't see coming, kind of in that range. And it's the same thing at the 201, right? True BPA beyond that, which will be highlighted in our rookie report. But that's if you stick and pick. So let's just say hypothetically you land Genty, you come back at the 109, and Egbuka's there at the 112. You grab Colson Loveland at the 201. Let's say Travis Hunter, you take a shot on him. That's a pretty decent haul for a team who's trying to punt this year. Definitely, I like that haul a lot.
Yeah.
You add Genty to a running back room with Tracy, Benson, Corum. You add Egbuka to a wide receiver room with Thomas, DJ, Pearsall. You get a legit tight end to build around long term. Hunter's kind of this fun what if on your team. You're starting to build some potential blocks for the future. Now you've already talked about, tearing down from the 101 or trading it for a haul. I don't think I'm opposed to that. You can't do it with any of these other picks, but the 101 is a very powerful piece, and I would only sell it for a Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs type of package. We've said that all offseason, but I do believe Genty is that level of prospect, and you need that package. Otherwise, we're just not willing to sell. So why don't we try and find the right team? Let's just go from the bottom up. Let's go Buggy here. Buggy has the 103. Yeah, I think like a team like this, I think it would be like 103 in a future first would be the easy answer.
Yeah.
Considering the team isn't really in the best state anyway that you're trading with. So that's probably going to be a top, what do you think? Like a top 6 pick with this roster?
Maybe.
Maybe you can sneak in the 203 there as well if you think you can push it. Depends on the person. I doubt Buggy's going to want to do that, though. All right, we get to this person who has a 104. 104 Bucky is definitely enough for me. In fact, I'd probably be willing to send back, like... Would you send Tyrone in this or, like, the 301 or something?
I'd rather do the 301 than Tyrone.
Yeah, but if you had to, would you? Let's say that. If you had to send Tracy to make this deal happen.
Yeah. Yes.
That's Ashton Genty and Tracy or Bucky Irving and Judkins, for example.
Yeah. I think capital landing spot huge.
Yeah,
but
I would need to know where people are.
Yeah, exactly. I would exactly.
Before doing a deal like that. Not Wolves. They really aren't a good fit for you. Phil Bills has a 105, 108. They are
the guy he was going to deal with.
Barren of talent, but we've already talked about the options there. Yeah, I don't think Team 8 makes sense. Yeah. We've got the 102 here. We talked about the 102 Hawkinson. I think for me, just to add on to this, I would probably feel more comfortable if you added the 202 onto this deal. So, for example, just for argument's sake, you add the 202 here, and then you can send back the 301. I think that would make me a little more comfortable if you wanted to go that direction. Mira has no picks at all. That's crazy.
He has literally none.
We could try Marvin Harrison 107, right?
Yeah.
And then we can send back the 101, and again, like Tracy could be the piece there that we can move. Mm-hmm. If we don't go Tracy, we can try and send that 201, maybe ask for something else in return. Ask for the 207, do a pick swap.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I think that we had the 106 here. What about like the 106 and JSN?
I'm okay with that as well.
I'm trying to think if I would accept that trade if the name was Jahmyr Gibbs. What do you think?
What do you mean if you think that was Jahmyr?
Like if you
if Jahmyr Gibbs, right? If Jahmyr Gibbs was Jahmyr Gibbs for JSN in the 106.
Yeah, would I accept that?
No, you wouldn't accept that.
I'm not sure I would, right?
I think the reason is because the provenness of it. Like,
what about adding the 206 onto this? That probably puts you in a place where you're like, okay, I can take the risk. Yeah. For me.
Yeah, I think it just.
I think the best deal we've come up with is still the first one with sending away DJ Moore and getting those picks in London. I still think that's the best deal. I really like the Marvin Harrison deal as well. The Bucky Irving one's a no-brainer. Is there one you wanted to highlight?
I think the one that you get the best value is the 101.
Yeah.
Or the 103 in the future first because of how bad that team is. So
yeah. Okay. Let's highlight that.
Yeah.
Anything that we didn't cover that you think we should have, Badaki? I think we've done pretty well for.
We got it all. Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for the support. Hopefully this is helpful. 1 year punt doesn't mean you are completely out of it, right? I mean, you can keep your picks, draft these guys, all these guys take off, and then you're instantly a sleeper. Like, I think when we were starting this, we were saying you're actually more than a 1 year punt. Like, you're just right. You're like one step ahead of 1 year punt, but not far enough to not be a 1 year punt. That makes any sense? But yeah, good team. You should be receiving your playbook within 72 hours in the Flock Fantasy message system there, but with all the customized information that we drew up here for you today. But appreciate the support.
Yeah, we are going to go on to our next review, but I know often people join the stream and they want to know how they can get their team reviewed and get their playbook. So just to let you guys know, if you're just joining in, you can get your team playbook, which we pretty much call like a customized guide, game plan for your offseason, right? All you need to do is become a LAND, LAND promo code, annual Mother Flocker member on the Flock site. You'll get a voucher, or you can purchase one through the Flock store there. Regardless what promo code you're on, just make sure you get the live tier if you want it done live. Members do get a 30% discount on that. So yeah, regardless of if you're a member or you're on a different promo code and you want to get a team review, you can get that either way. When you become a member, you get a $79 voucher, which makes the offline review completely free when you go through the checkout, and it makes the live review, I think, about $10. Timothy is here. He originally got an offline review, but he paid just a $10 super chat to upgrade it.
Yeah, Timmy.
So, Timmy. And yeah, like this is what Rowan did, right? So yeah, he got the live tier as well. He used his voucher and he got the live tier. That's why it says $7. Okay, Timmy, why don't you read this? I am just gonna go to the bathroom real quick. I'll be back.
Yeah, no worries. Timmy, thank you so much for your support, man. Let us know and jump in at any point in time with any context or information you would like to throw in. But this context says 10 team, 1 quarterback, PPR non-tight and premium start 8. My running backs are horrid. I have a lot of good receivers. I got Nico last week for the 107 and 207. I think it's a phenomenal trade. Traded my third for Rico last season, but lost in semis. That's all right. I have no picks, so I was wondering which wide receivers to trade and what running backs / picks to target, depending on which wide receivers I trade. Okay, well, we'll have a look. Have a look at this team. Obviously, Zach is not here, so he's not going to be able to show the team. But according to this, once again, 1 quarterback, 10 team, start 8, which is essentially meat and potatoes. This is a smaller starting lineup. 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and 2 flex spots, which I'll put in the chat right there. Essentially meat and potatoes. Really simple lineup there for you. And you're currently ranked 1st out of 10, which means you should have some great people. Okay, whenever Zach gets back, this is going to be an interesting. Oh, he's back. Okay.
1 quarterback, meat and potatoes. Okay.
Yeah, meat and potatoes. We're having a look at this team. His currently ranked first out of 10. And let's read this team out. Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, phenomenal quarterback room. You don't have to do anything at the running back position.
Do we have a chalkboard for this one? Okay, sorry, I just saw it. Go ahead.
Yeah, we did.
My bad.
Trey Benson, Javonte Williams, Zach Sharp, and the list goes on. You got Jordan Mason there as well. Not the strongest running back room, and that's okay. I mean, you drafted Jonathan Brooks last year. You drafted Trey Benson. You thought you had the 1-2 punch. You thought you were going to have a starting running back room, and you were ready to compete this year. Unfortunately, that's not the case. But at the wide receiver position, it is phenomenal. CeeDee Lamb, Malik Neighbors, Puka Nacua, Nico Collins, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Jordan Addison. You got Zaza there. You got Jawan Jennings there. Those are 7 wide receivers that you have with Sam Laporta and Tucker Kraft. And you don't have any 2025 first. And one of the biggest questions he said there, Zach, he's like, which wide receivers should I sell?
Yeah. No premium.
And
so Laporta doesn't really pack a punch. But we could use Kraft in a deal with like Addison if there's a tight and needy team. But let's get this out of the way. This is a contender. It's just not in its final form. Like as a start 8, we think about this, right? Lamar, we need 2 running backs, but then CeeDee, Neighbors, Laporta, and we can only start 2 more names, which would be Puka, Collins, correct? So JSN, Addison, Flowers, Jennings, if they're healthy, they most weeks will have a chance to touch our roster. So you can go 2 ways here. You can either use like Puka and go for a Gibbs Bijan, or you can use Addison and, you know, go for more like the James Cooks of the world. You know what I mean?
By the way, he just traded for Nico Collins. He says, I got Nico last week for the 107 and the 207.
Great deal. Like that's very affordable for him.
Yeah, 100%. So I thought that was a good deal as
overall team grade. We're not in our final form. We have no picks in 2025. Let's keep that in mind. I lean like that wide receiver room is nutty.
Yeah,
A minus.
Okay, I was gonna say B plus, but yeah, we can do A minus.
That's just insane to have 5 guys in the top 10. I mean, let's be 100% honest. If this team had like a Bijan Bucky, it's almost a Thanos. But draft capital grade got to be a little harsh here. Probably C minus. There's nothing this year. Your picks probably aren't going to be that valuable, right? As far as the pathway for a team like this, I definitely think it's a no-brainer. When we look at our pathways, this is contender status, right?
Yes, this is contender status.
Oops, sorry. You're not Thanos, my bad. Little tease there. Fun fact. What number are we on right now? Yeah, so let me do some quick math here. You guys ready for this? 1.1% of teams we've ever reviewed got the Thanos tag.
1.1. Mm-hmm. Quick maths.
Okay. So the path is very clear. Let's say untouchables, Lamb, Neighbors, holds would probably be like the Benson. For your team specifically, would I keep Javonte?
I mean, it just depends. Like, if you're gonna throw in Javonte for something, I would.
Right. Let's say
like,
Sharp.
I would.
Sorry.
So
let's say Sharps, Benson, Jennings, and Kraft, but we could use him in a deal for sure.
Sharp, Trey Benson. Okay.
I would say drops on this team. Look, there's really no drops on this team, actually. How is Drake May on the waivers, though? That's got to be a mistake, right? Hold on. Is Drake May actually on the waiver wire in this league?
Well, Drake May, you have Bryce Young, Trevor Lawrence, Matthew Stafford.
Okay. If Drake May's on the waiver wire, you definitely drop like Audric Estime to go get Drake May. No questions about it. If Jalen Coker's on the waiver wire, I'm definitely willing to drop.
Feels like a This feels like a real, I mean, respectfully, like a real novice league right now, right? Like, hold on. Jalen Hurts, Justin Herbert, Bo Nix, CJ Stroud. I mean, who doesn't have a quarterback that they're not rostering Drake May?
Yeah. Okay. I'm just going to, you can figure out exactly what names you feel comfortable dropping, but May, Coker, Strange should all be drafted or added for sure. Okay. At minimum. I think if I had to part ways with some of these names, Estime, and again, I don't really want to, I'd probably try and sell Jonnu before I did this, but Estime, Jonnu, Lloyd, Rico, maybe. I know he just got a new deal. Maybe we don't want to do that, but yeah, okay. Have we done all admin?
Who was the other hold? Charbonnet, Benson, Tuck, Kraft, and who else? Those four. Was it Mason?
Oh, I love that this team has Mason. I don't know why I just didn't realize that. Yeah, let's definitely make Mason. Bro, I am like ridiculously excited for Jordan Mason in Minnesota, by the way. I kind of feel like he's a sleeping giant.
Is it because you just know Aaron Jones is just going to get hurt?
Bro, at the age of 31, this man, like, let's be honest, every week he's on the injury report. I kind of feel like Mason's going to get like 15 touches a game in that offense. And if you look at his efficiency last year, he was like one of the most efficient guys who had like 100 touches. Anyway, okay, so that's crazy. Those guys are on the waiver wire. Take advantage of it. And what we'll do is recognize we cannot use Kyler Murray in any way, shape, or form in a trade in this league. Let's recognize that now. But what we can do is, and there's no draft capital to talk about here. Let's go to the chalkboard, okay? So there's two options here. Puka, we can use tier 1 running back. We can also go Jordan Addison plus Tucker Kraft in a deal for, let's say, like a tier 3 running back, right? And then we could also try Zay Flowers straight up for like a Cook.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I would feel like Jordan Addison straight up for like am I tripping there? I feel like a lot of people have Jordan Addison higher than Zay Flowers, but
sure.
I could be wrong.
Let's try all these packages, basically, right?
I feel like that could be Cook, that could be Chuba, straight up.
Yeah. No, well, let's try all these packages, right? So, if you send away Puka, it has to be Gibbs or Bijan. There's no other. You know what I mean? That's it. Now, the other maybe scenario here is we get the 101 plus. I very rarely want anyone to do this, but in your scenario, it might make sense. The 101 team. So we're saying like 101. Wow, they really need nothing. We don't have leverage against them.
Who has the 101? Sorry, I'm just trying to find
that.
I mean, is it not worth trading? Well, yeah, Puka. Yeah, I can get it. We don't have any leverage. They have a tight end. They have technically 2 starting running backs. They're gonna get Najee. They got Drake London. Remember, they only 4 wide receivers and start 8.
By the way, so Tim says, I dropped May in November trying to get running backs on my team and nobody picked him up. My friend, definitely go pick him back up, please. Okay. I don't know that the 101 is going to work. Okay, so if you get the 101 in Roma Dunze, sure, right? Can you send back, like, Jawan Jennings for a deal like that? He doesn't need tight end. Charbonnet, you know? But overall, I just don't think this deal is going to work. So let's just keep that in mind. It's probably just Gibbs or Bijan. But he's probably open because he's going to add Ginty anyway. He's probably open to that type of format. See if you can get more. Like some sort of pick swap or something in there. Let's look at a team that needs a tight end. Okay, let's start with that. So Isery comes to mind. They have Higgins. They have Saquon. We're not going to get Saquon with Addison and Kraft. Do you do JSN and Kraft for Saquon?
Yeah. I think we have the ability to lose 2 of these players.
Okay, let's say that tentatively. I'll be honest though. I don't really want to buy Saquon at his current price. Oh, what did I say though? I said JSN and Kraft, right?
Yeah.
Okay, apologies.
All
right, let's keep looking. Okay, so this team has Kate Otten as their starter. They have Devon Achane. They have Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah, that running back room is. I feel like you can do like the Jordan Addisons or the Zay Flowers for Chuba. I think that's where I would aim. I think I would go a Chuba Hubbard and see if I can get a Jahmyr Gibbs, a Bijan Robinson, that higher tier. And if not, then maybe I would just pivot into just continuing to buy these lower tier guys.
I think you get more than Hubbard for Flowers right now.
What does
like,
let's see what KT says.
For example, can you get Cup thrown in or the 209?
This is one quarterback, right?
Yeah.
According to KTC, Zay Flowers is more valuable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, we're just using it as a weapon.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
I think I would rather. I don't know how you feel, but like, I think I would rather try and use Jordan Addison, Zay Flowers, and JSN, and see what type of running backs I can get on the low end to compete, rather than sell the Pukas and stuff like that. But I could be wrong. How do you feel?
I don't mind which way you go. Like, I personally think if you go Puka, like I said, you only go Gibbs or Bijan. And I don't think that really hurts his team at all. I think it makes a lot of sense because of the needs of his team. So,
but like, if you can't get those 2 guys, then I think you just use the lower tier guys.
Yeah.
Instead of using Puka in a package to get like the 101. Like, I think I would rather just try Addison, Kraft, Flowers.
Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with the 101 package we dreamt up, but if it doesn't work, then I'm also fine to go the other direction. Like, as well. Jordan Addison and Flowers. Okay, so Hubbard we talked about. Let's keep looking. James Cook, Ken Walker. So for example, like Addison for James Cook. Also, we would try the same thing for Zay Flowers, right? Zay Flowers for James Cook as a swap makes a lot of sense. I would do Zay Flowers for Ken Walker as well. I probably wouldn't do Addison. Let's keep looking at some of these teams. Patty's Pub, one of the better comedies, underrated of all time. Not sure I really want to invest in these guys. Would you do Zay for Kyron? Yeah, I would.
Yeah, I would as well. I think of Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
Where's Josh Jacobs at? OJ didn't do it.
Yeah, no, Jacobs makes a lot of sense. Okay, Bucky Irving is probably... You probably don't have the right assets to kind of match that deal up. Again, we really wanted to target a team that needed a tight end. I wonder if you can go... Yeah, excuse me. We don't have any picks this year, right?
No, we don't. I mean, the team that doesn't have a tight end is technically the guy that has Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, he has Dallas Goedert, technically.
He says, should I try to trade Chuba even though I have Rico and Jonathan Brooks? Yeah, like the way we view those backfields is that Chuba's the clear starter. That's my conviction. And Jonathan Brooks, I wouldn't expect anything from at this point.
I think
And then with
were,
Charbonnet, I think there's a chance that you actually end up with 2 starters there if they move on from one of them.
I think if you that actually might be the best play, because you can get both of those guys on the low cheap and you still have the backup.
Yeah.
Right. So you have the whole Panthers backfield if Chuba goes down with Rico. And I mean, he's not going to be like a superstar to where like he's going to win you games, but he's going to get you 10 to 12 points.
He's going to get you in the playoffs, but this reminds me exactly of the Alpha Dynasty League that we're in with our followers. It reminds me exactly of this team in Alpha that I have. I have Lamar Jackson. The strength of my team is my wide receivers: A.J. Brown, Jackson Smith and Jigba, C.D. Lamb, Lad McConkey, Justin Jefferson, right? That is the strength of my team. That is what just purely brings me into the playoffs. On my bench, I have a Tajay Spears, a Kendre Miller, a Lave, and my starting running backs are Pollard, Kyron. My running backs aren't carrying me into the playoffs. They're not the reason I'm making the playoffs, but they are enough to just win, enough games to get into the dance. And I finally won the championship in that league last year with this exact roster. So I think you need your Kyron, Pollard. You need your Cook, Jacobs options.
And I think you have enough with, in my opinion, with the Jordan Mason, right? You have enough with the Javonte Williams potentially if they don't draft, which we all believe he does it. They do draft. You have enough with the Trey Benson. So I actually think that might be the pathway. Go get Kenneth Walker, at least for me. Get Kenneth Walker, get Chuba Hubbard, lock up that backfield. You have no excuses, because you also have, not that you have no excuses, they have no excuses, but you also have options in Trey Benson, who we hope takes over, right? We opened up this whole thing of Jordan Mason missing time.
Yeah. I think my ideal outcome is doing like a Chuba Cup and then coming back and sending Puka away for like a Gibbs or a Bijan. And I think if you look at your team, if you were to get these type of deals done, so let's keep in mind we lost Puka and Zay Flowers, but we added Bijan, Cup, and Hubbard. So your starting lineup would look like Lamar Jackson, Bijan, Hubbard, Lamb, Neighbors, Laporta, Collins, JSN. Okay, so you would still have on your bench there Jordan Addison in this scenario. Jawan Jennings, right? And then if Javonte Williams becomes startable, Trey Benson, Charbonnet, Mason, these guys, Bigsby, then they're more flex options for you in a smaller starting lineup. But that is my ideal scenario, using Puka to go get a number one and Bijan and Gibbs, and then using Zay or Addison, either way, to get one of these lower level deals done. The Zay for Chuba Cup, the 209 offer we talked about. Zay for James Cook, straight up. Jordan Addison for James Cook. I think those are my ideal. I actually also really love the 101 Odunze as well. You get Ginty on this team, you lose Puka, but you add Odunze. Those are my favorite type of deals, I think. Tim, I want to make sure you feel good. Is there any particular player you wanted to target that we didn't talk about? Any direction you wanted to take this team that we didn't talk about? The other thing is, I don't hate the idea of trying to get a Christian McCaffrey on a team like this, personally. He's got the 203 and the 207. Can we send Zay Flowers and, let's say Zay Flowers, and we'll get CMC plus the 207 or something? That's something that I'm also interested in as well. Especially if you can sell Zay on a high, or just sell him what he's worth right now. I'm comfortable to sell him. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. But yeah, I don't think you're really in a good spot to go the Bucky Irving route. I guess you could go JSN Bucky makes sense as well.
Yeah, maybe.
This guy could use a receiver, so that could make sense actually. If you wanted to keep Puka and you go JSN for Bucky. You could probably get more in certain leagues. JSN, Bucky Irving. Could you do a pick swap here? What do they have? They have the 210. They have Brees, Adams. Could you add Devontae Adams? And that's going to give you more flexibility to manipulate this roster. And then you also send JSN with Juwan Jennings, for example. I'm assuming he doesn't need tight end, right? Because we could also make this Tucker Kraft. No, he doesn't. So, yeah, that's the other idea there. Tim says, I thank you guys for the help. I appreciate you. No worries, man. I like this team a lot.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think you're using one of Puka or Jason to get a top dog, like a Bucky or a Gibbs or a Bijan or a Genty. And then you're using one of Addison or Flowers to go get the equivalent level running backs there. And, yeah, big fan of this team, man.
Yeah, no, this is a great team. Thank you so much, Tim. We appreciate you and your support. You should be receiving your customized playbook within 72 hours in the Flock Fantasy Message System. Customized with all the information we wrote up for you here today, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate you big time. And if you guys are out there watching this and you want your team playbook, the live review, you can become an annual Mother Flocker member with the promo code LAND. That link is pinned in the chat. I'll also put it in the chat now. You can also purchase one directly through the Flock store if you're already a member of a different promo code. When you become an annual member, you get that voucher that takes $79 off, so it makes the offline review free. It makes the live review about $7 to $10, I think, somewhere around that. Appreciate you, Figs. What's up, Matt? Welcome in. Scoots, appreciate you, man. Scoots, we're working on something special in the back end. Appreciate you being here. Let's make Scoots a moderator here if we can.
Yeah, I'll do that. It's easy.
Appreciate the work he's doing for the community here. I'm so excited to use that research in some upcoming videos. All right, let's go on to the next team. I think we can get 2 more done today. What do you think?
Yes, I think we can as well. I just need to make some...
ATL is an offline review, and they're fine with that being offline. They are fine. Mighty Booch,
see the movie ATL?
Waiting to hear on. So maybe it's Crush is live. Game we're waiting to hear back on. So maybe we'll do Crush and Bori next. Right? Okay. Because right now we're waiting to hear back from Mighty Booch and Game for Life because they bought offline. So we're just waiting to see if they are if they're happy with it offline or if they want to upgrade to the live tier. And again, that's just because of the demand. But yeah, let's go Crush here, shall we?
Yes, I have to make some playbooks here if you
okay.
wanna.
Yes, so Crush 5. So this is a 2 quarterback 12 team start 10, and there's a half point premium. Let's see. So we are looking at that would be a middle ground. Yes, so middle ground for a super flex league. And this has got to be D. Leffler. No doubt about it, D. Leffler's got to be #1 on the year of most reviews purchased, which makes me feel great because it makes me feel like what we're doing is really bang for your buck with the people who keep coming back. People keep coming back. They want more reviews. They want more insight. And it feels good because we feel confident that we're giving you incredible insight and a great review. He purchased a live review and he got the 30% discount with it. He says, lost in the championship last year. I'm wondering what you think I should do with to win this year. It's a 6-point passing touchdown league, so we'll keep that in mind. It is, like we said, Superflex 12 team. There's a tight end premium. His name is D. Leffler, so he is #1. In my rankings, he is by far #1. He almost has 8,000 more points than the next name. And his team is as follows. Nix Daniels, incredible. Saquon, Kyron, a couple other names there. Chase, Harrison, Ayuk, Shakir Evans, and Njoku Ingram. We have no picks this year. This team actually isn't that different to the team we just reviewed. The difference is it's super flex, and it feels like he's already kind of made those moves we are almost suggesting to do anyway. So that is really interesting to think about. I mean, the starting lineup probably right now is Daniels, Nix, Saquon, Kyron, Chase, let's say Evans, then Njoku, and then you need to start 3 more names, which would probably be Marv, Ayuk, and Shakir, or Evans with the premium, or Jacoby Myers, Javonte. So you have a decent amount of depth too. And there's no picks in 2025 with this team.
Okay.
You know, this is interesting because there are certain teams where I feel like they get a review and I think to myself, if I had this team, I'd probably stay put. I probably wouldn't be forcing trades. I think you're already in an incredible position. The only thing you do with this team is you ask yourself, how can I potentially prepare for the future with any sort of like pivots, sells, but there has to be a name that we feel like we can sell high.
Yeah.
This is not Thanos. It's close. It's definitely a contender.
Yep, I agree.
The untouchables on this team would be Daniels, Chase.
Yep.
The holds on this team would be Ayuk. Ayuk.
Maybe Marvin.
Yeah, Marvin's another good one.
Those are the two. We could do 4 drops because he probably has some drops.
Again, you don't have to drop. These are just suggestions if you want to clear space, but you don't have any picks, so you don't need to. But if you wanted to drop players, you could definitely drop Taj, Taze, Hyatt, Westbrook, Akini. All those guys are droppable. I mean, look, you could probably add Devin Singletary to the list as well if you'd like. Overall team grade. Did we give a grade yet? No, we didn't, right?
No, we didn't.
This is a very, very good team. I lean maybe A flat. A minus.
Yeah. That's where I'm at, A minus.
Draft capital grade, we're going to be a little more harsh. I'd say like a C plus because you don't have any picks this year. But you've got an incredible team, so it really doesn't matter. Okay. Clearly, this team is a contender. I think you're probably the favorite right now. The question is, what, if any, moves do you make? Sometimes when you bring us a team and we already see the ship is heading in the right destination, the worst thing that we could do is say, tinker here and tinker there, and then you go off by a couple, degrees in a certain direction, and then you miss your destination entirely. I kind of feel that way about this team. I really don't think there's a lot of moves I would actively be looking to do. The only moves I can say, because look, we're not going to move off Chase, Daniels. We think Nix is someone you tear down too. We're not going to, he's undervalued in our opinion. You can't sell Marvin right now or Ayuk. Evans makes no sense to sell because you're not going to get a first and you're competing anyway. Your tight ends, it makes no sense to sell in a tight end premium. The only names I can really point to, and again, where I'm coming on where I say this, right, is Saquon Barkley. And that's just if we can manage the 101 or something. You know what I mean?
Sure, pivot.
Get younger, get Genty, and outside of Saquon Barkley, Javonte Williams, I have no problem selling.
Yeah.
Outside of those two names, I just don't know why we would make another move with this team.
Yeah,
I'll fix the audio here for us. Apparently, the audio is in a spot here. Let me.
Right. Okay.
Okay, guys. Does that sound better? Does the audio sound better? Are we okay?
Sounds better. Let us know.
Give us thumbs up in the chat. But that's kind of where I sit with this team, Badaki, is I think sometimes there are teams where we get so addicted to the idea of trading that we end up making bad moves and just overthinking things,
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a good team to hold. I'm trying to think if there's any in-season moves you can make. I mean, you really can't, because if you're a contender and you're relying on your Mike Evans, you're relying on these older players to kind of take you there, you probably can't really sell them. Now, we can go through the pathway of if your team doesn't perform, if Ayuk is not healthy, if Marvin doesn't live up to expectations, you're 1-5, 1-6 in the season, you sell the likes of Mike Evans, you sell the Saquon Barkleys, to then go out and get more capital in 2026. But you really don't have to make any moves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a pathway where like it can be back and forth. Like Kate is right. Like I don't think the starting lineup is that strong in the start 10, which I would agree. I don't think it's that strong. Which makes me believe like if it doesn't pan out the way you want it to, then you sell the guys that you can sell high at that time. Once again, the Mike Evans, the Saquon Barkleys,
Yeah.
maybe the Darnell Mooney's if he's having the same year he had last year with Michael Penix. Looks like Jacoby Myers obviously got a new quarterback there. He's going to be playing in the slot. Hopefully playing that JSN role with Geno Smith. That's kind of exciting.
Yeah. No, I'm going to agree with you there. I think if in season this doesn't go the way that we want it to, we can pivot. You know, the Moonies, the Evans, the Myers, the Javantes, they can all be sold in season. I'm not really desperately wanting to sell anyone else, but
no,
I think this is a strong starting lineup personally. I personally have a lot of conviction in this lineup. Assuming health, you know, again, like you're starting Daniels, Nix, Saquon, Kyron, Chase, Evans, and Njoku, and then we only need to start 3 other names: Marvin, Ayuk, Shakir. And we can still start, like I said, Jacoby, who could be a great flex, Mooney, who could be a great flex, Ingram in a tight end premium over there in Denver.
I guess like there's still a lot of question marks with some of these players. You know, what's Ayuk's timeline? Is Marvin Harrison going to take the next big step?
Ayuk got injured really early in the season. I think he's
and that's fair.
Fine.
Yeah.
I expect him ready week 1, but I can't really say that for sure, to be fair. So, but anyway, look, if you can sell Saquon Barkley for the 101. Then that is a no-brainer, right? You get younger at the position. You get still an all-world talent in Ashton Genty. Let's see who has a 101. I mean, they look like a team that could compete for sure. They have a lot of picks. They might be interested. If they add a Saquon to this and then they come back with a Hampton and a Tet and a Igbuka, I think this team could be interested, but they look more young-focused. But outside of Saquon, I don't really know, like... I think the other idea is like if we pivot to like a Achane plus or a Bucky plus. I think that's the only other idea, but you have to recognize the reason we don't want to do this is because we think you need to go out there and just compete again this year. And Saquon's going to give you the best chance of doing that of any team. But if you wanted to try and get ahead of that curve, let's be honest, Saquon's never going to be more valuable in Dynasty than he is today. It doesn't matter what he does. He just had a 2,000-yard season. You know, it's never going to... It's whether you think it's fair or not, because of his age, he'll never be more valuable than he is today. But like Achane 106 would be a no-brainer, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Achane... Would you do like... I probably wouldn't do Achane Terry, to be honest. That might be crazy to say.
You would or you wouldn't?
I would not. I don't think.
Yes. Okay. That's. I would not.
I don't think I would do like Achane in multiple seconds. So it would have to be pretty aggressive. Bucky. If we went the Bucky route, the guy has no picks. Yeah, I don't see that working. Would you do like Bucky Baker? Like Bucky and Addison, Jameson, Flowers, none of these guys do it, but Puka's too much to ask for. Pollard doesn't make sense. Brees is too much to ask for. I feel like Bucky Baker is the only combo that would make sense there to give you a quarterback 3. But even then, yeah, I mean, he could use the depth there.
He could use the depth.
Okay, that's an option. I still think the best idea is to keep the pick or sell it for the 101. Javonte Williams, I'd say any late second in 2025 is completely fine with me. We're thinking like the 2-0, let's just say 6 to the 212. But if you're contending and he ends up being the starter, you know, it's...
That works.
Yeah. All right. Now, if things go belly up, this is in season, right?
Yep.
Then Mike Evans, any first in any year is doable. As far as like we would accept that, not every league is going to be willing to send you that, but maybe you could get early seconds, like let's say the 201 and the 207 in a future draft or something as an idea, right?
Yeah, I agree. I like
Jacoby
that.
Myers is really any second. in any year, and probably more catered towards like the 205 to the 211 range. Mooney feels the same, right?
Yeah, I would say a little bit. I say it will be more like, at least for me, like 204, 208 vibes.
Yeah, that's fair. He feels more reliable, which is weird, doesn't it? Javonte in season, it depends. Like, is he the starter? Is he dominating? Has he completely recovered? Then you might not even want to sell him, but it's kind of pointless. Like, let's just say based on his value in season, it's impossible to predict right now. Yeah. I mean, this is what I would do. I would not get too creative or too desperate to mix things up. Like, I'm not going to come on the stream and tell you, let's tear down from Jaden Daniels. Why would I do that as your competitor? Why would I say let's tear down from Jamar Chase? Why would I tell you to sell Marvin or Ayuk when they're buy lows?
Yeah, that's
it's
fair.
Just I don't think there's really another move to be made with this team.
Yeah, I agree. I think once again, you don't want to do too much. So what you have here is pretty straightforward, significant. See what happens with your team in season. If not, you have the pathways. You can sell the Saquon Barkley, see what you can get younger, and move from there. Or you can sell and pivot some of these older players like Mike Evans, like we kind of told you about.
Yeah.
But appreciate
last thing I'll
Crush.
say, Cade brings up a question here. Are you concerned about quarterback 3? I would say you can be concerned about it if an injury occurs. So this guy has enough flexibility with Jamar Chase and Saquon where if in season he needs to tear down from Saquon and get a quarterback 3, I think he has the flexibility to do that. So I would probably just wait until I needed to. Again, that was kind of the situation I was in with this Alpha team where I had Lamar Jackson and Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence went down with the injury, and I ended up just flexing. I think I flexed Stevenson, and just the strength of this team just carried me. So I think something similar could happen with his team here. So yeah, but no, I think it's a great question. Definitely a question. Scribble says, am I the only one who would sell Javonte for a good sub sandwich? No, you're not. We're willing to sell him. I said that in a recent video. I think this is your last chance to sell him for something. But of course, maybe he needed another year. Who knows?
Who knows?
What's up, Edgar? I don't think we're going to get to yours today, but there's a very good chance we'll get to yours tomorrow, and 100% we will get to it at worst on Thursday night. That is at worst scenario, my friend. Sidekick says, I've been peeking at some film, and I'm with you in regards to Bird and McMillan debate. Yeah, I think it's an open debate. That's all I'll say. I think it's an open debate.
Be careful. What's crazy, which is really random and off topic, but there's a lot of people that saying Luther's going to fall to the second, and the Giants are going to take him.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
If we take a quarterback, I think that only happens if we take a quarterback in the first, by the way. So if we take a quarterback at third, and then Luther falls to the second,
right?
Then I think we will end up taking him. If not, then he's probably not going to go to us if we don't have a quarterback. But anyway.
Yeah, funnily enough, the only wide receiver I'm really hearing positives about in the last 3 weeks is Matthew Golden. To the point where I'm not advocating for this, but people are saying Ted McMillan's going to fall pretty far down boards, and that the NFL doesn't view him the way the media does. A lot of people are putting Luther Burden out of round 1. A lot of people are putting Ibuka out of round 1. I think Ibuka is the safest in the class, right? We've talked about this, but Matthew Golden is the one that keeps getting hyped.
He's the only one that's like
getting pushed up boards, like almost a lock. But
but
I don't think we can really rely on any of these reports right now. There's no reason to change your opinion or how you value any players until the draft actually happens at this point.
Yeah.
All right, one more. Okay, Bori, right? Bori was the next live one. Again, if you're watching this and you are Mighty Booch or Gameo for Life, then check your DMs because you are currently offline review, and there's nothing wrong with that. We just want to make sure you want the offline review. All right. Y'all know the deal. You can get your team reviewed by becoming an annual member with the promo code LAND, annual Motherflock. Remember, you can check out the Flock Fantasy site with the pinned comment. Let's get to Bori here. Bori the Explory.
Or the Explorer, thank you so much for the support. Let's read this context. It says, first here doing Dynasty, looking for any tips and helps for one of my first teams, which just ended in startup draft. We drafted our rookie picks for this year, which is why we have multiple picks this year. Thank you for any help. Okay.
So another middle ground. Have we had any non-middle ground team? There was one, wasn't there?
I think.
Yeah, meat and potatoes. There's one meat and potatoes. Everybody else was the middle ground, which it makes sense. Today. That's the most common, right? Tight end premium, 0.5. Yeah,
let's have a look at this team here.
Yeah.
Currently ranked 12th.
What?
Rock,
oh, you're right. There's two teams that are named Brock. Okay.
Brock and Roll.
But it's so even. You know, like 12 and 1 are not far apart compared to how most leagues are.
Yeah, they just did their startup drafts. Okay. At the quarterback position, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Fields, Will Levis, Drew Lock. Not the strongest quarterback room, but you do have 2 starting quarterbacks to go into the 2025 season. Maybe you can tear down from Patrick Mahomes. I'm pretty sure that might be something we will do here today. At the running back position, Jonathan Taylor, CMC, Rashad White, and the list goes on. Decent. You have 2 starting running backs that are decent. I'm not a big CMC believer going into the new year, unfortunately, but Jonathan Taylor, yes, so we'll see that a little bit differently. You could start up to 5 wide receivers in your starting 5. Jalen Waddle, Jerry Jeudy, Michael Pittman, Jacoby Myers, Cedric Tillman, and that's it. Not that much opportunity.
It is a terrible year to try and hit on wide receivers in the draft as well. I mean, look, that's harsh, but there is a scenario in which running backs are the best value in those first 6 picks. So,
yeah,
this is a tough one.
At the tight end position, obviously you have Brock Bowers, which is a no-brainer. Shout out to Darren Waller still on the team, huh?
Darren Shopper put the team on my back. Yeah.
And you have 2 first-round picks, the 102, the 106, and you have your 26 first.
Okay, so let's do some admin stuff. You can drop Darren Waller.
That's a wasted one. Let's do
wait,
that one.
the weird thing is you just did your startup, though. Why is Darren Waller on the team?
Yeah, Chase Claypool as well. Like, what's going on here?
Dylan Johnson.
I mean, to be fair, he is new to Dynasty, so he doesn't know.
Or maybe it's some weird admin thing. You can also drop Palmer, Thrash, Burks. You can drop Akers if you want. Lock. All these guys, if you want to clear space, are droppable. But I'm assuming your waiver wire is butt-ass naked, and it is, so you don't need to drop those guys either. Your untouchables are Brock Bowers. That's it. Your holds, I'd say Waddle.
We need another one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to lean
Waddle
with what he showcased last year in that stretch.
And Jalen Waddle.
BRGs, by the way, says I'm rostering Waller. I have a feeling he unretires, yet I'm desperate. So there's that. Hey, maybe there could be reports that you and I have not caught up on with him.
I can guarantee you.
I appreciate it. It's Gorilla. I actually just saw your notification, so we'll definitely have your review done this week, either tomorrow or the next night. 100% we'll have that done for you, man, and definitely join the streams. Okay, so this, just so you know, is not like you being 12th is not most teams being 12th. Let me show you an example. Let's go to Crush's team that we just reviewed. Okay, so in this example, the 12th team has Trevor Lawrence, Matthew Stafford in a super flex league. Their RB1 is Jalen Wright. DK Metcalf and Juwan Jennings are their number 1 and number 2, and they have Kate Otten. Okay, now, yeah, they have draft capital, but I'm trying to be encouraging here and telling you, yes, you're 12th, but that's because that's not terrible. You just did your startup. Everyone's very even in value, and that's how it should be, really. Now, your wide receiver room is one of the worst wide receiver rooms we've seen this month reviewing teams. So that is a problem. And this class doesn't scream, I'm going to find the answers either.
I'm just confused on. So Brock Bowers was his first pick, then Patrick Mahomes,
or the other way around. And
or
then
the other way around.
He probably went
the 102.
The 102, then Taylor, then the 106 maybe.
Yeah, then the 106, and then maybe Waddle.
We might have reached on a couple players. We might have reached on a Pittman, Jubie, McCaffrey, Fields. He probably, what happened was he was doing his startup and quarterbacks were flying off the board. And then he was probably like, shit, I need to take Justin Fields. I think that probably could have happened as well.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that is the nature of a startup, right? Okay, so we haven't given a team grade yet. I would say...
Oh, here we go. Yes, This is me. Yes, some players were super late in drafts, and a lot of us just auto-drafted after round 30.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right,
so
well, please jump in at any point in time. Obviously, you are here. Thank
absolutely.
You so much
at any point, jump in and bring any comments or questions that you have. We want to make sure you feel good about the review. Overall team grade. I lean I'm kind of between like C plus B minus.
That's where I'm at. So I'm C plus.
Okay, let's go C plus then.
Yeah, I'm C plus.
Okay, so I mean, tell me I don't do this for a living. We read this like a book. He says CMC did go high, which I later found out wasn't great. And yup, Justin Fields was kind of a panic with them flying off the board. I mean, tell me I don't do this for a living. Come on. We do this every day, and that happens, especially when you told us it was your first Dynasty team. Don't worry, you're in the right spot now. And there are far worse teams that we have seen after a startup, so don't feel like you're in too shit of a situation. Okay, so we said C plus. Draft capital is definitely better. I would lean B plus.
B plus, B flat. I'm okay with that.
I say plus. Yeah, let's go plus for that. Now,
and then pathway.
I
feel like this is like a blow up team in a weird way.
It's close, but can I tell you why I'm hesitant? Because what if Ted McMillan goes top 10 and you spend the 102 on him, and at the 106 you grab Igbuka? Like in that hypothetical, you start Mahomes, Fields, Taylor, McCaffrey, Tet, Waddle, Bowers,
and then you need
Jubie,
3 people to start,
Pittman,
right?
Myers. Wow, yeah. I mean, the start 10 really makes this tough. I think this is a punt. I think this is a punt to me.
Yes. Look, we can definitely punt it because... Yeah, let's punt it.
Yeah.
Let's punt it, see what happens. The reason why I'm like, maybe we should do a full rebuild is because I think with the punt,
Well, let me tell you where I stand. If we do a punt or a rebuild, I don't think I need to sell Waddle, Bowers. And I think those are 2 pieces along with a Hampton or a Tet, an Igbuka, Judkins, or whatever at the 106, where I'm like, I can see a scenario where we tear down from Mahomes, we sell Jubie, Taylor, CMC, where next year we're already back at the plate and like, okay, I think we can piece together a team here.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. Because full rebuild essentially is selling everything or the best value. Anyways, okay, I'm there with you.
And just to clarify, Oscar had a question here. He says, what is a Thanos team type? I'm not sure it's been explained. Yeah, well, we just said it like 15 minutes ago, but it's very rare that we ever call a team a Thanos. In fact, Thanos is like essentially... You're coming on the stream, you're showing us a team, and we're saying, yeah, you very clearly, by a mile, have the best team in your league. It's not even close. You are the Thanos of your league. You have collected all of the stones, and now for the next 5 years, your reign is under everyone. You're controlling everyone, right? Now, from November, we've been doing these reviews. And we earlier said 1.1% of all teams ever submitted have gotten the Thanos tag. So it's very rare. That's why you don't hear about it very often, right?
Do you remember the guy that had Thanos? I would love to show him, but
no. But if you do, definitely let me know. I would love to show him again. But doing a 1-year punt, I think this will be relatively straightforward, and you'll have a very clear direction. Let's look at the chalkboard. Have we done all admin?
Yes, all admin here. So chalkboard it is.
Okay, so at the 102, if you stick and pick, you're gonna have a decision, probably between Hampton, McMillan, Burden, Henderson. It really, we don't know exactly how the draft's gonna pan out. Let's be honest, we just don't know at this point. But those are probably the players you're gonna be considering. Then at the 107, you're in this position where, Burden, Henderson, Judkins, Johnson, Ward, Sanders, who's kind of left over in that tier. At the 212, look, it really is impossible to project at this point that far into a draft, but take the best player available of the Arroyos, the running backs we love, Harvey, Neil Sampson, the Iowa State boys, the Jalen Royals of the world. I haven't been able to finish it yet, but Steve Smith released his wide receiver rankings.
I saw. I want to watch it.
One thing that I loved was that he had Jalen Royals ranked the same as me in the class. We're both very high on him, about 5th overall. So that was really cool to see that. Or was it 5th or 6th overall? But like really high up was awesome to see that. Now, one thing I didn't love is he liked Besh, but he said Besh needed to play tight end. And I'm like, bro, he's 6'1", and he's a good route runner with a big body. He doesn't need to play tight end. But anyway, I love watching his stuff. So let's just say hypothetically he sticks and pick here and he goes McMillan. Hampton doesn't go round 1 in this scenario, right? He comes back at the 106, and let's just say that Henderson ends up being the best value there. At the 212, he goes Arroyo. That'll be good for this roster, no doubt. Yep. I mean, you can sell Arroyo in a tight end premium if he breaks out. You add McMillan to your wide receiver room. You add Henderson to your running back room. Not a bad outcome whatsoever. I lean the tier down, which I have been asking people to do all offseason from the 102. And I will say, I had the most pushback because I've been suggesting this, Badaki, pretty much since December in videos. And I've had a ton of pushback from the Tet McMillan guys. And I like Tet McMillan. He could easily be the #1 receiver. But I'm noticing, as the offseason goes on, there are less and less people who are opposed to the tear down of the 102. So I don't know if that's a changing of the guard or just, I don't know. I'm just saying, I think more people are open to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that.
Okay, so let's explore that. Yeah, true scribbles, yeah. 100%. Zach, you can send us the number. So every team review has a number on it in the top right. Tell us the number of that team review, and we can actually look at your playbook.
Number or your Flock Fantasy ID.
All right, so
let's
look at tearing down. I definitely think a team like this, where we're gonna punt, I'm totally open to tearing down from the 103 to the 107 range and getting different levels of return based off of where we tear down to, right? So we can look at the 103, we can look at the 104, 5, 6, 7. All of these picks, we can look at what sort of return would be associated depending on how far down we tier. So let's look at the 103 team first. Actually, let's just go top to bottom, Badaki, and let's just find all these picks and just in whatever order they come. So the 104 is owned by Dylan Hone. And the easy one with this is always like a future first. Is easy. I mean, you can even send like your 212 to get a deal like that done. You can do counters, but that's like a general baseline in some deals. In some leagues that's getting done. What about the 112, the 104 and the 112? That's maybe too far off.
That is too far off. I'm not in love with that.
What about if we asked for Josh Downs and or a pick swap as well? it gets you maybe more comfortable. So for example, the pick swap would be a future second, and we'll give you a future third.
Sure.
I'm not in love with the 104, I'll be honest, but let's keep exploring.
Yeah, I'm not in love with the 104.
The 105 and the 107 are on the same team, and that's actually perfect. Like the 105 and the 107 collectively, I would do that for sure, just for the 102.
For the 102, yeah, I would as well.
But you could also try and get a little more creative with it. Go 105. Wow, this team is crazy. There's actually not much flexibility here. I mean, yeah, the other option is like a future first here. You can't actually get too creative with this.
No, you can't.
This team here. And he has the 106, so we that actually rules out the 107 and the 106.
The 107, yeah, exactly. So that's probably I mean,
what about,
we can have a geese at the 108 to see if he is a good team or bad team.
What about Drake May and field swap? We haven't explored that with this team. So they have the 105 and the 107. Let's try and explore a Drake May Justin Fields swap here. We are very high on May. Not everybody is, but sorry, we want Drake May. So we're gonna send the 102, and I think the 107 plus May, and then we send the 102 in Justin Fields. That kind of gets you in that range, I think. Look, KTC is terrible. We never would suggest you to use it when you're doing your trades, because it's very exploitable, but we are aware that the vast majority of Dynasty players use it. So I just want to quickly take a second and see what that would look like on a KTC. I'm not doing this right, am I? Sorry, yeah, it's the opposite. So the 102 in Fields, the 107 in May. Okay, so we're not far off. I wouldn't even mind adding something to this deal, like Rashad White, Jacoby Myers, one of those names.
Yeah.
So that is the other idea, to give you all of the potential outlets available to you. Okay, so but outside of that, I think those are your main options at the 101. Did we ever? We never found the 103 though. Let's keep looking for the 103 actually. Let's see. Golf Stallion. He has the 103 and the 109. That'd be more than enough for me. More than enough. In fact, he has a 111. Would you do the 103 and the 111? I think I would.
Yeah, you see your back and you still get a pick. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with either or.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right. I like all of these ideas a lot. And as always, these are like a, like a gateway to exploring trades. It's not always a perfect deal, right? We know that. That's not how leagues work. You can't really tear down from the 106. Okay, so we've pretty much addressed the draft in depth now for you. Now, I do think, like, Taylor... Oh, wow. Should we start with Mahomes here? Mahomes tear down?
Should. I think that's the biggest one.
Okay. So let's go to, again, just see some community consensus here on these quarterbacks. And I want to see where we can actually... Okay, so Mahomes is tier 4. Let's go 2 tiers deep here. So Bo Nix. Can you write this down on the sheet for me? Bo Nix.
Bo Nix.
Jordan Love.
Jordan Love.
Brock Purdy. JJ McCarthy.
Brock Purdy.
Michael
JJ
Penix.
McCarthy,
and Jared Goff.
Michael Penix and Jared Goff.
Okay, so let's start with Bo Nix. I don't think you're going to be able to get much, but we have tried to advocate for Bo Nix as much as we could on this channel pre-draft last year, and even now people are hesitant to believe in him. So it depends on your league, but would you do like Nix? See, this is tough. Like, this team doesn't have a lot of in between assets, but what about like Nix 204? Is that enough, or would you need more? I don't think you can go Nix Rice. But we can explore Nick's Rice if we add something.
We could. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm thinking. What can we add? Like, can we add
Michael Pittman, Jerry Jeudy?
Pittman. Yeah, I'm thinking Pittman maybe. I wonder what Keep Drake Cut will say about that.
Yeah, I think Pittman would get the job done. Jerry Jeudy is probably the most I'd pay on top.
Patrick Mahomes, Pittman, and
Jacoby
for Bo
Myers.
Nix. Bo Nix for what is it? Was it a 204?
No, it's Mahomes, Pittman, Bo Nix, Rice.
Oh, Rice. Yeah, right. And Rice. That says the fair trade.
Cool. That would be perfect.
According to Keep Drake Cut.
Yeah, of course. We know it's not always reliable, but you can use it to your advantage. Jordan Love. Well, that guy also had Brock Purdy. Did we say Brock Purdy as a name? I'm pretty sure we did.
Yeah, we did.
Well, his name is Brock Daddy. Let's assume he's not going to trade Brock Purdy. All right, Jordan Love. Let's see who has Mr. Love. Jordan is team 1. It'd have to be like Love in a first. I don't see anything doable outside of that.
Yeah, Love in a first. You can't even get a young player.
Yeah. All right, let's move on.
JJ
McCarthy.
Michael Penix are on the same team.
These next 3 you might be able to net a significant return with. So McCarthy, and by the way, it doesn't even matter if he starts this year because we're punting anyway. That would be maybe better.
Yeah, I agree.
So I don't think you can do like McCarthy, Brian Thomas. I think that's probably impossible. We'd have to go like McCarthy 110 in a future.
McCarthy 110. Yes, I'm okay with that.
You can add on Pittman or Myers or some low level Rashad White if you need to get the deal done. Mm-hmm. And I would do the same thing for Penix as well. But
I agree.
I'm shocked that now on KTC Penix is cheaper. So yeah, you can explore that. So we've talked about pretty much everyone outside of Goff. So we can go to Goff now. And I don't really think Goff, while a punt you wouldn't expect him to be a target, there's just not that big of a difference between age, and Goff's in a better situation anyway. So for example, you land Goff McConkey, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to Goff.
Right? Do you need to add Pittman or Myers into that? You can do that. But
yeah, I think that'd be perfect.
Wow, we have given so many trade offers. All right, so the last bit of business here is talking about names that we can sell in season or sell before the season. I would say Myers. Pittman is impossible to sell right now, so let's just say Myers, Jeudy, McCaffrey, Taylor, right?
Yes, 100%.
Okay, so Myers, Jeudy, McCaffrey, Taylor. So Myers, we have kind of said like any mid first, or sorry, second.
Any mid second,
like 205, 208 kind of range. I think Jeudy is more of an early second.
Yeah.
I'd say like the 201 to the 203. I wouldn't trade him for cheaper than that. CMC, I think you probably should hold and try and get any first in any year.
Season. Yeah.
And I think, you're right. You probably have to hold in season. I mean, most people aren't willing to do that right now.
Yeah, no one is.
JT, I'd be willing to sell for the 104 to the 106 in this class. I think if you go like the 106, then you should probably net like some second value in return. But 104, 105s is an easy sell. That's what we would do with this team. This might be the most detailed review we've done in a hot minute, but love the idea of the May deal.
Yeah, pivoting off that.
I'm obsessed with that one.
I like the Bo Nix Rice one. Big fan of Bo Nix personally. Or you can do the Jared Goff one. I thought was really good. Jared Goff and Lad.
Yes, that's a great idea too. And then let's do one more 101 trade to highlight on the playbook, like the
102, you mean?
Oh, my bad. Yeah, 102.
Yeah, we can do
105, 107 is perfect.
Yeah, that's perfect. But yeah, please let us know if you have any other questions. You're here with us. Hopefully you're still here. If not, all good. We appreciate you and your support. And as the floor is all yours, with any last minute questions, we'll wait for that. But I'll tell you, you should be receiving your customized playbook within 72 hours on the Flock Fantasy Message System, with all the customized information built that we drew up here today for you. But yeah, let us know if you have any other questions, Ori.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, your time to shine. And we will be live tomorrow doing a rookie mock draft, and then the following day we'll do the same type of stream we did today, where we'll just pump through all these team playbooks.
Pump it up. Yeah, we like to make sure the queues are all clear for on Thursday night, so next week is a nice fresh new queue for all you guys.
Yeah. All right, he says all good, all sounds great to me. Thank you very much. You are always the best. Appreciate you, Cade. Appreciate you, 9Ball. Appreciate you, Chasing Breakers. Zach, appreciate y'all for being here.
Appreciate
you guys are all great. Appreciate y'all being a part of the stream today. And updated wide receiver rankings coming out tomorrow. Lots have happened with free agency. And I won't spoil the video coming out on Monday. I'm excited about it.
Don't spoil it.
And that's it for today, guys. We will see y'all very soon. Nothing but love. Enjoy the rest of your night, and we'll see you very soon. And don't forget, the Oklahoma City Thunder are winning the 2025 NBA Finals. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
New York Knicks.